Wanted to do a follow-up retrospective on our Armory takedown here. My videos kept getting screwed up, so this is like the 5th time I'm trying to record this, so hopefully this works. They had boosted this, and right off the bat, I don't really love this start. I know Wally was trying to do this because this team doesn't have JJ to cleanse off the burns, but we had our Armory down, and they had their barracks up, so this is actually like a bigger punch-up than you think, and you know, Brotherhood's not really meant to beat defenders. That's what other teams are for. So it's not the best use of resources. Would have preferred to use Fury Shield. Same thing with Wafers. It's a little bit too much of a punch-up for that Power Armor team. Otherwise, it's not a bad look. Although I don't usually love to hold Power Armor for defenders. In this case, it would have been okay because of the huge punch-up, but it's just a little too much for this team. Mayhem then uses his Brotherhood team, which is actually lower than Wally's, was able to kill Punisher, looks like. Probably focused him down or something. This is actually kind of a better move sometimes because Iron Fist's heal doesn't hit Punisher as much, so you can have a better chance of getting him down. Anyway, so he lets it stick. Again, I don't really love this use of resources. I prefer to use Fury Shield teams here. This is why Fury Shield teams are good, and people should build them up. Then Blue Hawk goes ahead and kills Fury Shield team. This is actually a good punch across because remember they're a little bit higher with the Armory up and our barracks down, so they're really like 230k. Really solid punch across there. Blue Hawk also takes his Avengers masked team to another hodgepodge team. This is a little bit of punch down, but they do have the boost, and this is not really like meta on meta, so I think this is okay. Malone here takes his Brotherhood team against his Guardians team. Now, this is another team that's really good for Fury Shield. Fury Shield just wrecks normal Guardians, especially if they're unboosted, because you can dispel the taunt off of Drax and then work on Rocket. But Brotherhood here is not the worst case scenario, especially with this big of a punch-up. They don't have Nerva to res, so it's a little bit easier. You just have to avoid Groot's cleanse a little bit, so it's a little bit annoying to work around, but it's definitely possible. That being said, this is a pretty high punch-up for this team, so it's understandable that he kind of suffered a loss there. Almost got him down. Wafers then cleans it up. This is a really good cleanup, so solid move. Saf then uses this Kree team. I actually really like Kree on offense. I think they punch up a pretty decent amount. Obviously not against meta teams, but against these mismatched teams are really quite good. He uses a Mystic Controller team against their really weird Mystic Controller team. That's a good punch across as well, so really solid moves. Then he uses this Captain Marvel team, which is not really the best use of Captain Marvel, to be honest, but because his Brawlers team is not really like the strongest Brawlers team, it's actually pretty okay. Okay, then Grezzo Ardente does a boost pop on this Brotherhood team. Now, I'm guessing what happened is he did not pop enough to get Jug's ult to go, is my guess. I think he probably died before then, but, because you can see here, he tries to then use Kree on it and doesn't do much, and I think the Juggernaut, ult just wrecked 2 of his Kree team members here. They're a little bit low power for them to do that correctly. So I'm guessing that's what happened, but otherwise I generally like this strategy of using Kree. I think they can punch up pretty high against this team. He might just be a little low. Also, his power is concentrated in Ronin and Korath, and Korath is actually not the best Kree to use for this case. You really want to use the other Kree members. Korath is not good on the Kree team. I don't recommend using him with them. So I think if he was a little bit more balanced, and especially if he had his Noble as the highest one, that Noble hits like a truck. So that's probably why. Guard down here uses a Fury Shield team to try to finish off this defenders. I'm actually not quite sure why he lost this. This seems like a thing that should have won, to be honest, but we'll see. I guess it could have been bad RNG. It could have been heals from Iron Fist, but it's actually kind of weird. I'm guessing because he's using Trooper instead of Shield Operative, so he didn't have the sustain to get around the 2 taunts from Luke Cage and Ms. Marvel. But he's able to get the other 2 down, so I like the fact that he didn't cancel out here. Then Grezzo Ardente screws up again with this cleanup team. I don't really like combat canceling here because this is really Like this, there's no other use cases for these teams. This is just a mismatched team, so don't combat cancel. Just let it stand, and hopefully you get the damage out of the way later. So, yeah, I don't really like that at all. Guard then uses this team to clean it up. It's a little bit of an overkill, but it's fine, relatively speaking. Just wanted to get it down, and these guys aren't really going to be used for a lot of other stuff. Then Regente tries again with I think he subbed in Venom for Merc Lieutenant, and he's able to kill one, but again, it's not really like, just let it stand. Like, there's no sense of wasting the energy to combat cancel there. Okay, then Wade uses his team to clean it up again. A little bit of overkill here, but, it's better to kill and move on with guys that you're not going to really use elsewhere. Okay, then Langdon does I think this is a huge mistake, personally. He uses Brotherhood, which is a meta team, against a non-meta team. This is not even like a full brawler team. It's a big punch-up, but it's not like, I don't know. I also don't know how we lost this, to be honest, so it's kind of crazy. I'm guessing maybe the blind didn't stick or something like that, but yeah, this is not a good use of resources. This is not what you want to do, and then also to lose and combat cancel out of it is really bad. Then he tries it again against Kree, and Brotherhood against Kree is not even a great matchup for him because Ronin cleanses, so that's also not the best thing to do. And then he lets it stick and loses, so he tries to use meta team, combat cancels, tries to do against a non-meta team, and then loses, which is really bad matchup planning in general. It's just know your teams. Don't think a Brotherhood is just going to beat everybody, so you got to understand the matchups of why they win. And then he uses Power Armor on this other team. There's another meta team against a non-meta team. Not the best move, but at least this is a big enough punch-up that it's kind of okay. It's 100k, so it's, somewhat reasonable, but not the best use of resources again. You need to save these for the other teams that are really good out there. Blue Hawk then cleans up that mess. That's good by him. Okay, so in this case scenario, I knew I was most likely going to lose this just because of the punch-up. If I had better RNG, I actually would have won, but, it's just, I didn't have bad RNG. It was just, you needed a lot of things to go right to win this battle. But I told Blue Hawk, and he was able to clean it up right away. So that was really quite good teamwork. So, yeah, we got that down. Then Lance's is a great punch-up with Wakandans, great use of resources. It's just really, really good. Really, really good. Ariel then Comet cancels with his Fury Shield team. So normally I would say Fury Shield needs to be used for meta defenders teams, but his Fury Shield is really low. I'm guessing he's not even 6664 all the way, and I'm actually not sure how he lost this battle, but it's it's a pretty big punch up, so I can see losing if you get wrecked by Yondu's Yaka era and can't heal because you have heal block from Mordo, so I can see that. Mayhem Comet cancels with this Avengers team against this Kree team. One, I don't really like combat canceling here because it's not like you probably were going to do something different. But two, what was the point of Night Nurse on this team? Night Nurse is not good at all on this team. I think this team composition is really, really bad in general. It's lacking damage. The only damage you have is Quake's AoE. Everybody else hits nothing. So how are you going to kill these guys? It doesn't make sense. Night Nurse's heal as an ultimate gets off really late, so it's not even a really good use. It's just not a good team. You need to drop Night Nurse for Hulk or something like that, or at least Hawkeye, who's not a lot of damage but has blinds for more control or something like that. So I just don't really like the way this team is comped. Then Malone cleans up this team with Power Armor. This is not the best use of Power Armor. It's a solid punch up, so it's not the worst use, but yeah, I would not recommend using Power Armor normally. That being said, his power armor was pretty low because it's all built into Vision and War Machine. So they're kind of weak, actually. So they're more I guess 24. So they're more 100k in this scenario. So it's a little bit more understandable. Phison then goes ahead and uses Brotherhood on this Mingardians team. I'm actually not sure how he did so little damage. It's actually kind of surprising. But this punch-up is really hard. I think the biggest mistake is he didn't ask if anybody had a better team to take this on. I admire the punch-up, and I like the fact that he tried it, but this is a little bit too much for his team, at least to go at for the first run. I think he's better off cleaning up with his team instead. And 3 minutes later, Lance uses his X-Men team on it and wins, and if we had just started with Lance, it would have been much, much better. Mayhem then uses this Min Guardians with Vision to beat this Defenders team. Now, this is actually a better team comp for this Defenders team because Vision makes it so that they can survive the first turn burst a lot better with the defense up. However, in general, you want to use Thanos or Drax or something on this team because Vision is so much better with power armor. So you're basically taking two teams away and making one. And it's just not really a good use of roster construction, to be honest. But in this specific scenario, this is actually really good, and it's like a huge punch-up. So, this is the one scenario where it makes sense. Wolfman then uses a Hodgepodge team to lose. I think he was just popping a boost, and then so Orvis could clean up, which I actually really like this double team move, because otherwise Orvis' team might not have been able to punch up on this team, just with their too many burst damage on Spider-Verse. So this is actually really good. And that's basically it. So a lot of mistakes this one. People still don't have a good feel of Brotherhood. I think team composition is also team construction. Roster construction is also really bad. So I didn't really like this room for us at all. It was a big punch-up, so you have to be way more efficient with your attacks, and this is where communicating a lot more helps. So wish we did a lot more.